Howdy folks, Spencer here, and today I'll be breaking down the stats of the brand new Areore Miracle Worker Juggernaut. As always, chapters to each topic are listed down below. First up, let's go over where this ship comes from. Lore-wise, it is from the Areore race, which we saw in Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 3, Episode 7. They were the bird people. And in STO, this is a direct to infinity lockbox ship, which means that it's going to be very expensive to acquire, and if you do acquire it, it is going to just be for a single character. But given it's dropping here in 2024, that does mean if we have an event campaign in 2025, this is a ship that you could potentially get for a single character from your event campaign box. And this will be arriving on PC this Thursday, November 14th, and for those of you over on console, it'll be arriving on December 3rd. And diving into the stats, this has a hull modifier of 1.6, which is really, really high for a Juggernaut. Then we have a shield modifier of 1.15. It's got a 5-3 weapon setup, 3 device slots. We'll go over the bridge officers in a moment. Console wise, 5 tac, 4 inch, 2 psi, and 1 universal. Base turn rate of 6.5, so on the lower side. Impulse modifier of 0.15, inertia rating of 60. For the power bonuses, plus 20 weapon power and plus 10 to engines. Can, of course, equip dual cannons. It is a Juggernaut. It has the Miracle Worker ship mechanic, including the faster Miracle Worker slipstream drive. And it, of course, has a built-in Devastation Lance, which I'll talk about more in a few. And for the mastery package, it has the Juggernaut setup, so plus crit chance, plus crit severity, plus hull regen, and plus all weapon damage. And for the Devastation Lance, this will deliver the full force of the Areore's Wrath as the energy created by the ship's systems is coalesced into a devastating combined beam of antiproton, polaron, and tetrion energy. And they have included tooltips in this blog, which I am grateful for. So this has a 180-degree targeting arc, it does those 3 damage types with 100% shield pen, and it has a 2-minute recharge. So the question here is, what is the activation time on this like? The Juggernaut arrays that just go off immediately with no activation time, those generally perform the best. If this has an activation time that takes a couple seconds to go, then it's probably going to be on the weaker side for the built-in Juggernaut arrays. And for the bridge officer setup, you've got a commander tac with Miracle Worker, a lieutenant commander engineer with Intel, a lieutenant science, a lieutenant commander universal, and an ensign universal. So that Miracle Worker Intel combo is really popular for a lot of high-end energy weapon builds, and the overall layout that this ship has here, this is going to be a very, very good energy weapon platform. So if you're doing CSV, fire at will, beam overload, cannon rapid fire, this is going to be a very, very amazing ship for those playstyles. And heading over to the ship comparison, I'm just going to compare this against the ships it seems designed to compete with, which are the Vaudoir Miracle Worker Juggernaut and the Legendary Avenger. You can see here that the stats between these 3 are very, very similar. So the Areore does have the highest hull mod at 1.6. The Vaudoir's got 1.55. The Legendary Avenger 1.5, so just slightly less. It does take a hit on the shield modifier, though. It has a 1.15 shield mod, whereas the Vaudoir Jug does have 1.25. But that Legendary Avenger is by far taking the biggest hit over there at 0.8. So turn rate wise, this is just slightly ahead of the Vaudoir Jug. The Vaud Jug has a 6 turn rate. This has a 6.5. So it's a very, very small gain over the Vaud. But the Legendary Avenger does still have the lead with that 12 turn rate. For the Impulse, they're all basically identical. And then for Inertia, the Areore is very close to the Legendary Avenger, which is far above what you get with the Vaudoir Jug. Now, with the Vaudoir Jug, there are some players that do prefer that low inertia for the power slide that enables. So, depending on your play style, that lower inertia may be a pro to you that leans you towards the Vaudoir Jug. Power bonus wise, they're all pretty similar. Bridge officer wise, you can see against the Vaudoir Miracle Worker Jug, the difference is the intel got shifted down to the engineer, And then that tack seat, the lieutenant commander, was just turned into a universal. So that is just a slight shift over the Vaudoir Jug for the Areore, and I think that is a good shift. And for the Legendary Avenger, that is a battle cruiser, so that does have a commander engineer with Merc Worker, so it doesn't have that commander tack. But still, I think it is a fairly comparable layout. All of these ships have a 5-3 weapon setup, they all have 3 device slots, and they have the exact same console setup. So really, it boils down to which you prefer the mobility stats of the most, and which of these bridge officer layouts best suits what you're trying to do. But all of these ships are, I would say, pretty equally good. It just depends on the environment you're going into. If you're looking for a ship that has a higher maneuverability, you're going to go with the Legendary Avenger. If you're looking for something that doesn't have to move much, that'd be the Vod Jug. If you're looking for something in between, that Areore seems to be filling that gap. For the Admiralty stats, this is 43 inch, 29 psi, 54 tack, and the special is 1.5 times critical rating from tack and engineer. And next up is the console, Trinary Strike. An Areore scatter beam of antiproton, polaron, and tetrion energy builds up in front of your ship and then blasts out from the front of your ship with a chance to hit and damage any ships within 10 kilometers. These beams of energy also bypass shields. The console does have passives for shield regen and kinetic damage resistance rating. And for the console clicky, we have the tooltip here. So it's got 135-degree targeting arc with a 60-second recharge. And it does have a charge up of 1.5 seconds, and then 2 times per second for up to 10 seconds. It will deal those 3 damage types with 100% shield pen to foes within that arc. So depending on the damage numbers on this could be interesting, but as always, we are just going to have to wait and see. And next up is the Starship trait, Beating Wings. The Areore used to be a technologically advanced and warlike species whose beating wings could be heard throughout space. This trait utilizes their technology to protect your ship when the hull drops below half, and not only repels your enemies, but also placates and confuses them, while also summoning 3 Areore Hawk fighters to protect the mother ship. And for the tooltip here, when reduced below 50% hull capacity, creates a 5-kilometer pulse which placates and confuses all enemies in range in that time, and spawns 3 of the Areore Hawk fighters who appear at the far edge of the pulse where they engage the enemy, and this can only trigger once every 60 seconds. So if you're someone that likes summons type builds, then this may be an interesting trait for you, but meta-wise, I don't expect the trait to bring much value. And to wrap things up, the Areore Miracle Worker Juggernaut is a really great energy weapon platform. It stands up there alongside the Vod Jug and the Legendary Avenger as one of the top energy weapon platforms in the game. But the thing is it just stands up there alongside them. It's not better than them. If you already have a Vod Jug or a Legendary Avenger, at best, this is just going to be a side grade for you. It's a really good ship, but if you already have a Vod Jug or a Legendary Avenger, I don't think you need to worry about spending $100 to pick this thing up. It's not going to be a game changer improvement. It's going to be very similar performance, just with a few minor changes to your bridge officer setup. I think if you're a DPS chaser and you really push the higher level numbers, this is a good ship to have on your roster just to give you an alternative between the Vod Jug and the Legendary Avenger. But again, at best, it's a side grade. It's not going to be really doing anything new for you. I think for those of you looking at this ship, it is rough to recommend. It is a really good ship. The accessories on it don't really look that appealing to me so far. But the biggest issue I have is that this is a lockbox ship for a single character, and the 2 ships that it is basically matching are available as account-wide unlocks. The Legendary Avenger Miracle Worker Battlecruiser is part of the Legendary Battlecruiser bundle, which goes on sale for 7,800 Zen or $78 during a bundle sale. And the Vaudoir Jug, that is a promo ship, but it is available as an account-wide unlock through the Muds Lost in the Delta Quadrant bundle. Now, it has been a while since we've seen one of those sales, but whenever those appear again, that would mean $150 to get the Vod Jug on account-wide unlock. So it's really hard for me to recommend a ship that is just a side grade over ships that you can get on account wide unlock, especially when it's just, for a single character. Again, I think it's a good ship. It'll be a good pick for your event campaign next year, but I would not rush out and pick this thing up when it drops later this week. And that's going to be it for today. We probably have one more lockbox ship coming out in December to wrap up the year. But from the ships we've had so far, I'm curious to hear from you guys. Which do you think you're most likely to go for with the event campaign box next year? So far, the Credence and the Areore here seem to certainly be the best ships in the lockbox and promo scene that have been released this year. But I'm curious to see if you guys have some other opinions. Let me know down below. And as always, thank you to all channel members and viewers for the continued support. See you guys around.